Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the world of darkness. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. Content warnings can be found in the show notes. We talk at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect, we're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same. So listener discretion is advised. Now let's walk the Path of Night.
Last time on Path of Night, Miles promised Wynn that he wouldn't interfere with the Justicar binding Wynn into service. Jan Peterson told Miles he had realized how the Camarilla had been lying to him. Peterson gifted Miles a powerful sword before slipping away. Johnny and Neil's conversation was interrupted by a surprise mass gathering of Malkavians. They talked about Gehenna, the masquerade, and the possibility of Peterson and the Vikos bringing the Camarilla and Sabbat together against the Ancients. Clan Malkavian offered their support to Neil, and he requested that they try to free Wynn of her blood bond to Lucinda. Roman Pendragon demanded Britta not fight in the war for New Haven, having killed someone to secure her freedom. Britta refused, asking instead to just spend the night together. An alarm goes off. One that is pressed to your ear, that you have kept with you in the bed. And you wake up, Miles. Do you spend the point of willpower to awaken?
Yeah.
You look around, and the room is just about pitch black. Only the slightest, smallest rays of sunlight pierce the very edges of the massive curtains that blot out the sun.
Knowing I don't have long, I will cut my arm on the sword that I am holding, and I will feed it to Wynn.
Wynn is curled up on her side. She's under some blankets, but her face is probably poking out. She seems to sleep with her mouth just slightly open, maybe hoping for bugs or something. Who really knows? But with some aim, you're able to get the blood into her mouth. Unless I wake up at some point.
Wynn feels cold, slick fingers press between her lips and starts to awaken to the taste of vitae. Wynn, are you spending a point of willpower to wake?
If it comes up the ferry, I'm spending the willpower.
Coin toss it is.
She spends the willpower.
Your eyes open, and you can feel the hand pressed against your chin and the fingers delved into your mouth.
Kabir, stop it. She's probably not super awake when she says that. And she blinks a few times and just starts pushing, slapping away at the intruding digits.
I will do the command for drink, which I can do because I am touching her.
You're using dominate as well?
Roll it.
Current willpower?
My current willpower, I believe, is 4.
11 successes.
So tell me, is this traditionally portrayed hypnosis where head empty just follows command, no recollection? Or is this, oh god, Miles just told me to do a thing and my body is compliant?
It's, as they say, number 2.
Drink.
Wynn's eyes fly open wider as she bites down on his fingers and starts sucking the blood from his fingers.
After a point of ET, I'm going to put her to sleep. 9 successes. Sleep.
She falls asleep.
Night falls. Miles, Wynn, you awaken to an alarm clock on the floor, and the two of you snuggled up very close in the bed.
I believe it's time to get up.
And Wynn's kind of realizes where she is and, on instinct, pushes herself away from him and jumps out of bed, still wearing her camisole and underpants. Eyes flying wide. What did you do? Miles, what did you do?
I am taking responsibility.
How?
You said they would get hurt. I will be the one.
Wynn glares at him, panicking, and clamps her jaw tighter. Miles, it's... The time for you to be responsible is not now.
It's too late. With all those lectures and everything else, I've decided that I needed to be responsible. But also, I'm not giving in.
Miles, this won't protect them.
It will.
This might actually damn them.
We can fix this problem.
And Wynn just kind of like slumps in a chair and holds her head. Because realistically, at this point, there's only so much she can argue with Miles. She wants to argue, but even more, she wants to believe he's right.
I see her kind of give up, which is super weird. I understand. And I know you're afraid of what they will do. I am more afraid of the things that they've already done. I know the Ventrue. And I know you have some mission. We are not talking about it, and I am not asking you any questions about it.
Thank you.
But we are not simply going to just allow others to come into this territory and tell us what to do.
And what if they kill me for this, Miles?
Would you have read the alternative?
I would rather my death have meaning.
It will.
Not just be another tool they throw away.
Yeah, well, they're kind of pissing me off. And we have been doing everything to uphold what they want. And this is what they're doing. So I am not happy is an underselling of this. So
you're willing to sacrifice my life?
No.
What do you think she's gonna do if she finds out you compromised me?
Don't let her find out.
Not an option, buddy.
Don't volunteer information you don't have to.
Well, obviously I'm not gonna do that.
As a clan, we're very arrogant.
This is my shocked face.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, did she ask you any questions about your previous blood bonds or anything?
No.
So she doesn't know if you may or may not be bonded.
I think it's a trap that she put us in a room together.
Sometimes you have to spring a trap.
With me as the bait?
I'm pretty sure that I am still the person being affected here.
Miles, I'm trying to put this to you delicately. You at least are regarded in the point that you have a target on you. They don't care what happens to me. There is strategic value in you.
There's a value to all of us, and keeping this together, at least for the siege, is in their best interest, and they know it. That gives us time. Very hectic time, but it is a time, and it'll be our time.
This is why I never wanted to blood bond anybody. This is why I never did hard drugs, for the same reason that, like, I can't make my own decisions now.
You think I didn't want to do this either? I don't even like using dominate on people that much.
And now you've done both on me.
Yes, I understand. I know. And they were not options I wanted to do.
What's the closest blood bond you've ever had?
Fully.
To who?
My sire.
Did that wear off?
Yes.
How long did it take?
Over a year.
Wynn puts her head back in her hands. Her braid kind of slips off her shoulder, hangs down by her face. Miles, I cannot tell you what a desperate move this is.
I understand it's a desperate move, but we are at a place where we have desperate moves. We need to get out of this council as whole as possible.
It almost sounded like you said asshole.
Miles just makes a face.
Get ready for a lot more of this.
I have prepared myself to be the martyr.
Well, I'm your sin eater, so I guess you can be the martyr then.
Sounds great. We're going to do everything in our power to both live and to piss these people off.
There's a little quirk of a smile at the corner of Wynn's mouth. I think I rubbed off on you more than just tonight.
I've been operating under these paradigms for a while. I don't like being messed with, and I don't like the people that I associate being messed with.
I did tell you so.
So.
Glossing right over it. Perfect. Let's do this.
Are you in for a second?
There's almost an itch in Wynn's brain at the suggestion that she could have another hit. She wants to think this through rationally. But sometimes when you want a corn dog, nothing else is going to do. You just need the corn dog. And she looks like she wants him to tell her that it's not a choice. The look on her face says, make me. But instead, she just nods.
He moves over and offers up his arm.
She kind of puts a hand on his wrist, puts a hand on his elbow, and she puts her mouth down like she's about to bite, and she looks up at him like genuinely with concern. Like, don't freak out, but remember that I have rattlesnake fangs.
I'm familiar. He says, remembering last night.
And she puts her fangs in.
On the next night, those who are operating out of Pendragon's Haven, they're coming and going. There's equipment that's now being moved about. You start seeing more and more of these Bruja wearing tack gear. And Wynn, as you wander the hallways at this point, are you looking for anyone? What are you looking to do?
Wynn's head is no longer really on straight. It's not like being drunk or high. It's sort of like an out-of-body experience at this point for all the things she wants to say and all the things that she knows will not be as important to her to say as they are in this moment. And she is keeping her eyes peeled for Johnny in that regard.
Honestly, it's probably easier to keep your noses open for Johnny. Because wherever he is, there's a cloud of cigarette smoke nearby.
And not unlike Toucan Sam, she will follow her nose. She will wander the halls. She will probably at least once or twice pass places she suspects Miles is. And then catch herself in the act and go back to the task at hand. And she will stop when she has found the largest cloud of smoke and hopes that Johnny is in the middle of it.
You find him sitting on a small little decorative couch tucked against one of the walls. Johnny seems to have posted up next to a little ashtray and is just kind of watching the goings-on of Pendragon's base of operations. He seems to kind of be somewhat relaxed and just kind of waiting for this to come to an end.
Hey, she says, approaching him.
Hey, you look like you've been having an awful night.
I've been having a shitty night, actually, so that's probably a compliment, believe it or not. Cigarettes outside?
Well, I've been smoking them inside. Are you saying you want to go outside?
Yes, please.
All right. Gets up off the couch, kind of shakes out his clothes, puts his leather jacket on, kind of nods to you. All right, lead the way.
Wynn finds a patio or something, just some kind of exterior door where there's unlikely to be a lot of foot traffic. Heads outside, shuts the door behind them, reaches out for a cigarette. Once I've got a, I don't know, paycheck, I'll get you another pack.
Don't you worry about this. This is my gift to you. He puts them orally in his own mouth, waits for you to have one in yours, and then he flicks open his Zippo to light both the cigarettes at the same time.
She does. She follows along.
So they both lean in, light off the same flame, and then he clacks the Zippo back shut and leans back after taking a long drag. So what's on your mind?
Too much. She kind of takes a big drag from the cigarette and lets it out slowly, seemingly buying some time to, again, put thoughts into words. Johnny, how long would you say that you were with your daughter before unlife intervened? Use any unit of measure you think appropriate.
She had just turned 9 years old.
Wynn kind of seems to do some mental math and decides it's not worth it. It's a big number.
She had turned 9 right at the beginning of July. And a few days later, I had to go out on a long drive out towards the Chicago area. And on the way back to the Northeast, I got waylaid at a truck stop. So she was 9 and a week old. It was July of 1990.
I don't remember exactly what day my daughter was born, but she died a minute later. And there is literally nothing in this world I wouldn't do for even just one more minute. Johnny, you have a chance, I don't. You have the option of more time with your child. Your children. And I don't care if you wait until after this siege. But you should not take that for granted. You should walk away from all this. And you should have whatever time with them that you can.
His jaw clenches a little bit. And he kind of stares down at his boots. It's tough being around them, you know.
It's got to be easier with Jessica now.
No, it's not. I spent a good long time trying to figure out how to still be in their lives. But a vampire is not something that's good to have in a child's life.
My dad sure is. There's not a whole lot I wouldn't have done to have him with me, either.
My presence, even if my kids wanted it, even if I wanted it, was not a good thing for them. I killed a boy that Jessica went on a date with. You know that?
I can't remember if you mentioned that or not. It felt dishonest that you could talk about your kids, and I waited until now to even talk out loud about mine.
It's all right.
But so much of what you went through, I got it. And it sucks. There's nothing that sucks more.
You know what also sucks? Looking at your children and thinking about how much you miss them. And then having this insidious beast inside you whispering that they would be easy pickings for blood. That is not a conversation that I like to have with myself. But every time I watched them from afar, this sick thing inside me was just saying, go ahead. They'd be with you forever. Go ahead, just eat them.
That came when I watched my parents too, which is different.
I would rather watch the sunrise than let my beast anywhere near my children.
My beast and my daughter were born at the same time. I don't really have a basis for comparison.
The man the Sabbat killed deserves so much more time with his kids, Wynn. And I wish I was that man still. And I'm not sure if Jessica's going to let me be on the sidelines anymore.
From what you've told me, she's not.
And I think that's my fault. When I killed that boy, I did it in front of her. I'm pretty sure I'm the one responsible for the fucked up situation she's in now. Whatever has awoken in her is my fault.
And my daughter's dead because of my irresponsibility. I'm saying we're gonna have regrets no matter what. If your regret would be greater being with them, that's your choice. But you have a chance to not have the same regrets that I do.
I just want them to be safe, Wynn.
And I didn't want you to... I don't know. I guess before I don't belong to this coterie anymore.
How do you figure?
She said so.
Who?
Her power. So before I'm not yours anymore. I wanted you to know that at least one person in the coterie gets it.
Johnny reaches out and kind of like grabs you by the base of the head and pulls you in for like just a bear hug.
Wynn is more than willing.
Squeezes you with his powerful arms and just kind of starts talking down into your braid. I don't care what the fuck her power says. You are always family. The Camarilla can go to hell for as far as I care. I stayed here because it gave me a semblance of safety and control over what I was. But if they're gonna tear us apart, fuck them.
Wynn kinda takes a stabilizing breath. It's already starting to sound like your voice is further away when you say the stuff like that. But I hear you.
We got a huge fight ahead of us. Chances are, either you or I could meet final death. In which case, there's not a whole lot of use crying about this.
I'm a creature of instinct.
If we're really lucky, her power will find final death in this, and there won't be a whole lot of use worrying about this. But if the stars fucking align, and you, I, our coterie, and her power manage to make it through all this bullshit, I promise you, I will figure out a way to make sure that you are Wynn Cabot, master of her own destiny. I'll even fucking go to the ends of the world to learn some kind of weird blood magic just to make sure that you are you.
Wynn does laugh. Not because it's funny, but because she knows he would. And she knows how much he hates blood magic. And therefore, she now has a metric for how much he loves her. For family, then?
He gives her a big, loud, smacking kiss on the top of her head and squeezes her tight.
She ruffles his hair and does the same.
Britta's eyes snap open as a new night begins, and she channels the power of the blood to animate her corpse. The room she's in is not hers, but she is familiar with it. And for the first time, maybe as long as she can remember, she wakes up in someone's arms. While she is held, she very quickly comes to realize that while she is awake, the elder Roman Pendragon is far too close to his beast, and he has not yet arisen. But there is something else that Britta realizes. The vitae that she channeled was the last drop that remained within her system, and very sore and aching from last night. A wave of hunger washes over her. Britta, you are awake, fresh for the evening, but somehow sore and exhausted all the same. And more importantly, in the moment, you are very, very low on blood. How much do you have in your system?
Sounds like I've got 0. Using the less to wake up, right?
That's right. In the presence of Roman Pendragon, there is a sleeping source of vitae. I need a self-control roll to keep from pouncing onto the vampire to feed.
Are there any limiters on that?
You may not roll more dice than your blood pool.
Neat. I would like to spend a willpower.
You may do so.
If I have no blood, am I rolling anything?
What was that?
If I have no blood, am I rolling anything?
No.
All right.
No, you're either spending a point of willpower to resist the urge to feed from him,
Gotcha.
or you feed from him.
Waking up, Britta nearly mistakes the sense of comfort of being held as the same sort of animalistic urge that the beasts might present. That same warmth, that same pleasure, it almost extends into the feeling of her fangs in her mouth, and she just catches it, funneling her thought and her will into not doing it, and holding herself very, very still so that she might have any grasp of control over this situation. There's that moment, but she's not sure how long she can hold on, and she's not sure how long it would take for him to wake up. She's in his arms. Is that effectively, mechanically, a grapple?
In this sleep, this death-like sleep, the body doesn't really move at all. There's no tossing and turning. Just whatever position you fall asleep in, your body holds to that position. It is perfectly possible that he might simply be too strong to escape, even in his sleep.
Britta feels she has to try it, hoping to depend more on her slipperiness than strength, to see if she can kind of ease herself, even if it's just to move her mouth away from him a little bit. Well, actually, does it seem like it would help at all if she were able to do something like bite down on a blanket sheet?
You tell me what you try.
She is gonna try to slip away. She feels she's too close to hold this back too much.
Go ahead and roll Dex plus Athletics. Because you are entangled with Roman Pendragon, I'm going to have you roll a difficulty 9.
Yeah, that tracks. It's a wash.
You wiggle. You try to slide along his form to snake your way out of his grasp, and nothing seems to work.
At that point, that would be when Britta would give up on that strategy and curl up tight, bite down on a blanket, and just try to tough it out. She does not have faith that she's going to be able to get out.
How long do you wait in this state?
I think the next impetus to change my decision would be the next wave of hunger.
After about 10 minutes of this, and Roman still shows no signs of waking, the hunger returns.
In that case, Britta will spend another willpower, and that's when she'll start to try to wake him up. She'll gently, not really trying to move his arm, but touching him in the way of letting someone know that they'd like to get past you, say, "Roman, I'm sorry to wake you. I can't. I really need to go feed."
Just one eye opens in acknowledgement of what you're saying, and then a smile, subtle, like a half smirk, forms on his lips. Then feed, he dares.
Last night, I think we already bonded to each other, didn't we?
So what?
Look, I don't regret it. I'm glad that we shared that, but I don't think I'm ready to bond further.
He shrugs. He stretches. Very well then. As he stretches, you are released from his grasp.
Britta gets up, immediately kind of putting herself across the room from him, holding on to herself like she's trying to hold back the beast inside of her, and trying to get a grasp on herself. Her mind is racing. She can't remember being hungry like this unless, the first night that she remembers, that would be the same level of hunger maybe, but last night, with everything that happened, she remembers the taste of his blood, and that just makes it even worse. Because that first night she was awake, she didn't remember what blood tasted like. She didn't know what her beast was urging her to do, and now she knows. Is it okay if I go feed?
Go, he says, kind of sitting up in the bed and putting a robe on.
And with that, she'll find something to throw on. Some clothes, and try to take herself as quickly and as straight as a line as possible to where she might be able to feed.
With a click behind her, she exits the room. On the outside of the room, arms crossed and waiting for this nightmare to be over, is Maria.
Seeing the expression on Maria's face and the way her arms are crossed, Britta just tries to circle round her, go past.
She makes no attempt to stop you. And Britta successfully fair escapes. You're alone now, and able to pursue any solutions to this newfound problem as you wish. What do you plan to do?
Britta heads quickly to her room, knowing the need to slip out of the robe and throw something else on. She grabs the first thing she sees, gets changed quickly. Of course, it's still probably ridiculously luxuriant, but she throws her red leather jacket over her arms, if she finds it in the closet where she left it, the one that Johnny gave her. She doesn't put it on, more carrying it like a soul, but it gives her some comfort as the beast rages to hold on to it, and hold it tight, and taking a hurried, wavering path, giving everyone wide circles, she tries to follow the scent of cigarette smoke, hoping to find Johnny, hoping against the way that the beast's hunger makes her feel.
You leave the room and go looking around for Johnny. As you wander these halls covered in gorgeous art and perfect lighting, it can be difficult to focus. Can I have a self-control roll? As you may recall, the difficulty will be 8.
It's a wash.
For a moment you swear you can smell the old stale scent of Morley's. But before you really find Johnny, you find yourself lost in this gorgeous landscape painting and ponder the sun that is depicted in it, kind of starting to realize that you've forgotten what it looks like and how it feels. And you forgot quickly. You haven't been kindred that long.
I don't feel like I ever knew. I don't feel like I get that sense of humanity. I don't feel like I'm really a person.
Johnny, you're out chain smoking. Things are set to be a pretty needlessly complicated night. And hanging by the door with it open, you're looking around, and down one of the long halls, you can see Britta lost and enraptured in the thrall of a painting.
Johnny's leaning against the frame of the door, smoking with the Morley hanging out outside. Little door to like a balcony or something like that, right? Little veranda. And he sighs, seeing Britta at the mercy of her clan's curse. Looks at the Morley, which is only 3/4 done, flicks it outside, starts walking down the hall towards her. He'll gently kind of sidle up next to her and put a gentle hand on her shoulder. Hey kid, you alright? When she doesn't respond, he'll shake her, just a gentle shake to see if he can kind of rouse her from...
Britta is startled by the shake.
Oh, Johnny, hang on, let go.
Okay, alright. He backs up and gives her some space. She can see that he's changed into fresh clothes, and it looks like he has healed the vast majority of the damage done to his neck, but there is still this horrible black purple bruise on one side of his neck where the skin has mended, but the damage is still trying to heal itself.
Britta's clothes cover where the wound from Vital would be, but maybe she seems to be in less pain. It would be hard to tell, though, from the way that the beast thrums inside of her. You can see it hungry in her as she looks at you, taking a few steps back, focusing, trying her best to think and feel. Hey, Johnny, I'm sorry, I am...
Good grief, kid, you haven't eaten at all, have you?
Well,
Your tank's on empty, isn't it?
Yeah, look...
You're gonna hurt someone like that.
I needed to find you because I wanted to make sure you could help me not bite someone or kill someone, and...
All right. Calm yourself down. We'll find something for you somewhere for you to feed.
Thank you.
Johnny starts looking back and forth down the hallway to see if there's any attendants or ghouls or anything.
I haven't seen anybody.
Neil!
You can see Johnny stiffen and tell that he is holding back a thrashing fist at the appearance of someone behind him. Neil.
Sorry, you weren't in the room this morning, and I went looking for, I don't know, we could go back down to the room where we fed yesterday. Although, Britta, you ate yesterday. How are you this hungry?
Look, Wynn gave me a good talk about how things would go, and things went well, but I don't know, it kind of, we went...
She's hungry, that's all.
Okay.
We gotta figure this out. She can't be the way she is right now.
No, let's go down. He didn't give you anything? He didn't give you anything to...
No, okay, look, and Britta is going to activate double talk. So while the outside world hears Britta speaking about how she's really sorry and she should have kept better track, and she really is very grateful that she can come to you for help in this kind of situation, what her intended hears is, look, me and Pendragon, we did end up together last night, and it went well. I just, things kind of got out of hand, and then we ended up bonded to each other, and I did feed, and it just kind of kept going, and, I guess I lost track.
Who hears that?
You and Neil.
Johnny kind of puts up a hand, and he kind of nods. That's fine. We just got to make sure we're feeding you now. All right?
Yeah.
In the state you're in, Johnny seems cool and collected. Neil.
Yeah.
I think you are probably the most sober of the three of us, because as you look between Johnny and Britta, you can tell that Britta is barely keeping her beast in check. Johnny's not much better. She's probably on an empty tank. Johnny might only have a few vitae holding his beast in check himself.
Look, Pendragon said I could feed off of him, but I didn't think that was a good idea to get double already, and I remember how that felt with Rollins, and I know that Wynn is already at risk, and...
You're making good choices, Britta.
Yeah, no, it's good. We're good. Jesus. I gotta get back to my...
Neil?
Worry about that later. Yeah.
Find somebody now.
Let's all walk together.
We are? I just need you.
And I'll listen for something, or let's head back down to that weird feeding room he's got.
Heartbeats, preferably.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I...
Johnny, I don't have a lot of strength in me to keep not hurting people.
You're not going to hurt anyone, girl. Don't worry about it.
Please stop me.
Nothing to stop. You're fine.
As Johnny says that, his words are punctuated by the arrival of a gentleman in a red coat, very clearly a member of Roman Pendragon's army.
Kindred?
Kindred.
Okay.
Apologies for the interruption. His Grace, Roman Pendragon, requests your Coterie for a meeting.
Oh, is it time for the War Council?
The nature of this meeting is not to be discussed.
Okay.
With anyone outside of your Coterie.
Are refreshments being provided?
If that is something needed,
yes.
we can arrange it.
Yes, it is. That would be great. Thank you.
Understood. Please gather the members of your Coterie, and when you are ready, head for the second basement.
Okay. Second. Great. But we'll go to the sub-basement.
I will wait for you by the elevator. When you're ready, I'll bring you down.
Elevator. Perfect. Great.
Thank you.
Great. And so long as there's food there, let's, okay.
He gives a curt nod and heads over.
New plan. Let's find Miles and Wynn. Has anyone seen them today?
Yeah, I was speaking with Wynn earlier.
Okay. She's alive. Has anybody seen Miles?
I haven't seen Miles.
Let's find Miles now.
If I'm guessing anything, Pendragon's already got tabs on him.
Probably.
I think the three of us should just get to that elevator.
I just want to make sure he's alive. So let's round him up and go downstairs.
Neil, I would like that as well. If any of these kindred want us dead, there's not a whole lot we can do about it.
In double talk, still, as if she's still talking about, all right, well, there does need to be refreshments there, is what the outside world would hear. But to her Coterie members, Britta says, someone did die last night. I don't know who. Some deal that it sounds like Lucinda made with Pendragon to get him not to. Lucinda wants most of us to die in the assault.
Yeah, and then whoever survives, Wynn is going to kill. So, we need to make sure that...
Johnny gives you very troubled eyes about that.
Yeah, I sort of talked about that, but we had a lot to talk about. But right now...
Food, please.
People, please. Let's go downstairs. Let's go.
Let's get to that elevator. The faster we can get her fed, the better.
Do you have your phone? Just call Miles.
I'm going to trust Miles and Wynn to get there on their own. Okay. I'll send him a text right now.
Texting. Okay.
I don't like it any more than you do.
Well, I hope they are both alive. Let's move. There's no
It
point
wouldn't have been them.
Keeping our captors waiting.
It wouldn't have been them.
No?
No.
Why?
Because, honestly, it seemed like Pendragon felt like he could kill Miles later if he needed to.
He can. It doesn't... Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll cross all of these bridges when we get there. Let's just go to where we need to go. Send that message to Miles. Somebody call Wynn. I'll call Wynn. And let's... Okay.
Let's worry about us. I think Pendragon's people are going to round up the rest of our coterie.
Yeah, let's go.
Johnny, moves Britta along in a way where he's kind of just trying to take some of the... He's letting her kind of like fixate on keeping her beast at bay and helping just guide her in the direction they need to go so that she doesn't have to think about multiple things at once.
If Johnny seems open to it, he might, if he seems accepting of being Britta's guide, he might see Britta squeeze her eyes shut as she walks past particular art, tighten her grip on the jacket that he gave her that she's recovered, and let herself be guided there.
Miles and Wynn. There comes a knock at the door.
I go and check out who it is.
You stride across the large bedroom that the two of you have shared. And when you open the door, there is something unusual happening. There are two people at the door. One of them is an Archon to Justicar Lucent. The other is one of the Bruja who serves in Roman Pendragon's army. They do not appear to have arrived together, but seem slightly at odds with one another, judging by their body language. And it seems that both parties had arrived to this room with the intention of arriving first.
How can I help the two of you?
The Archon speaks first and says to you, "Our power expects Wynn to report in immediately." The Bruja says, "Unfortunate. His Grace has invoked the right of domain and expects to meet with the Coterie immediately." And they look like they might fight.
To clarify, as far as I know, Lucien can't actually...
She can do whatever the fuck she wants. She's a Justicar.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if she could...
What is the Camarilla knowledge Miles has about this situation? What is the law? What's the precedence?
Of course, Miles. Roll me law. Unfortunately, these are great powers in conflict with one another, so you will be at difficulty 7.
What am I rolling here?
Intelligence, Miles's favorite stat, and law.
1 success.
With 1 success, you know that so long as Roman Pendragon is prince, the right of domain, an important part of the Camarilla's traditions, must be honored by all who enter his domain. The right of domain says that he is able to have whatever he wants, tell people to do whatever he wants, and essentially holds all of the cards. However, you also know that a Justicar possesses the power to dethrone a prince and remove them from power, provided they find reason. Whether or not this reason has been just or legitimate in the past has varied wildly from Justicar to Justicar. But it would take months for any sort of resolution to happen if Lucinda were to pull that trigger on Roman Pendragon. Now the question is Lucinda willing to pull that trigger on Roman Pendragon? Is Roman Pendragon willing to expose himself to a position where her power, Justicar Lucinda, is willing to do that? And above all of these things, are they willing to have that conflict at a time like now over the two of you?
The answer to that is yes.
In the heart of Roman Pendragon's domain, no less.
That's right.
His literal haven.
Yeah.
Does Lucinda have the gall to tell Prince Roman Pendragon what happens and does not happen in the heart of his domain.
I look at the Archon after this is delivered, and unless there is something that I'm not aware of, you're aware of the law that I must follow in this part, and if you will want to impart any new information to that, but otherwise we will be going to meet Prince Pendragon.
Respectfully, Your Grace, you will be going to meet Prince Pendragon. Archon Cabot has a responsibility to our Justicar, and there is no prince who can stand in the way of that.
Wynn gives a very long-suffering sigh from inside the room, and there's the sound of a book closing. And she is dragging herself to her feet, like this bullshit again, plain in her body movements. And she comes to the door, straightening herself up as she walks, and looks to Miles. I want to go with him.
The Archon?
Yep.
Hopefully it'll be quick.
Figure out what to do about me while I'm gone.
See you soon.
And she looks at the Archon. Was it someone from the car?
Yes.
Okay, which one?
It is Red Death who is present in collecting you.
All right, red balloons, let's go.
There's this thin smile. This way. They turn and go.
She looks back to Miles and says, I'll go right, you go fuck yourself. And turns back to the Archon.
Miles just looks mystified and just goes to put his sword belt on. I belt on the sword, put on the new clothes that I had delivered along with my ghouls, and head off with this, it's not servant, I guess, member of Pendragon's army.
Miles is escorted to the elevator, where other members of the Coterie are already waiting. Wynn, you are brought to a study that her power is currently occupying. When you enter the room, she is seated in front of what appears to be a pair of laptops that are set up on the desk. And on this silver tray is what looks like a very ornate bronze thermos of sorts. And along the metal, you can see that it is very cool, like this iced thermos. She gestures to the thermos, not looking away from the screen. Touch the thermos and carry on.
With what?
Your hand.
No, I know what to touch it with. Carry on with what action?
That's all. Touch the thermos. Leave.
Cool. Good talk. She goes over, touching it, expecting to be bloodbound.
When you touch the thermos, it is a very cold, chilling sensation. And you do sense that somehow within this thermos, the blood that was within has transferred into you. And you will become one more step bloodbound to Lucent.
What's on the screens?
You don't know. They're facing the other side of the desk where she is seated.
As she's walking away from the thermoses, she kind of looks over with uncomfortable new interest in the Justicar, looking at her hands as they're on the keyboard, and kind of like looking up over the monitor to see if she can see her fingers. What are you reading?
I need to know if you look at the screens.
If I can see them from where I am, then yes. But if not, then no. I am not going out of my way. Right now, she is angling to look at her fingers. I want to look at the screens, yes.
Okay.
But she is also asking what's on the screens.
As you lean over and get a look at the screen, you see something, and as you try to contextualize it, a hand is placed over yours. You hear the door shut behind you as you're standing in the hallway. You're not sure how much time just passed.
The fuck? She opens the door.
You see this, and she looks up from her laptops. Yes?
What time is it?
Go check the time, Archon. You should be capable of finding out.
Yeah, apparently according to the former prince, Gangrel don't use technology, and you probably have a watch. This is the closest way to find the time.
Well, you have the power to go and leave this room under your own volition. Do so.
Path of Night is a Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the world of darkness. Britta Ashcroft the Toreador was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Johnny Saxon the Bruja was played by Garrett Gabbey. Miles Davenport the Ventrue was played by Tim Davis. Neil Foster the Malkavian was played by Rob Muirhead. Wynn Cabot the Gangrel was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Lex Lopez. Recording by Rebecca Steigelfest. This episode edited by Rob Muirhead. The music used in this episode was composed for Path of Night by Brian Matolius. Find him online at brianmatolius.com. Path of Night uses the 20th anniversary edition of Vampire the Masquerade with a few limited house rules. Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness are owned by Paradox Interactive. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. We can be found on YouTube at youtube.com/@pathofnight. You can help support the show on coffee.com/pathofnight. Find us on twitter.com/pathofnightpod, on facebook.com/pathofnightpodcasts, or email us at pathofnightpodcasts@gmail.com. See you next time, kindred.
Just to clarify, you've got your 2 fingers in her mouth and now you're dominating her.
Oh, the fans are going to love this one.
I'm sealing the deal, thank you.
All right, I think